Well, thanks for being down to be on the show, man.
Yeah, 100%. I saw I think I saw you post something like maybe I don't remember. When did you put the Bauer episode out?
It was the first one,
That was
probably
the
like
first one, right?
2 weeks, 3 weeks ago.
Okay, yeah. So that's what I like. I saw it come out. I watched his for most of it. I just got done watching this morning. I woke up though and watched like the Rev one
Yeah, that's a
for a
good
little
one.
bit. He's an interesting character to me. He's an interesting guy. So I like had to go back and like get the full scoop, you know?
Yeah, he was super. He was no, like I actually talked to John on the phone, and he was just like, everyone's always talking about the pass out incident, and Rev's like really never publicly talked about it. So he's like super stoked to like actually know what had happened.
Yeah.
Oh man, well, salute. I'm drinking a brew.
Is that local? A little local?
Yeah, man. 10 Barrel is, I think, yeah, we're Oregon beer. Yep. Bend. Shout out Bend, Oregon. This is one of my
Yeah.
favorite IPAs. I'm just like trying to conserve my beer right now because I
Yeah.
bought it's just like one every other day, or else I'm just gonna run out of beer and then shit out of luck.
Have you gone anywhere? Like do you just like you gone like grocery shopping and stuff or like what's been your like approach to the whole situation?
Um, I'm super a germaphobe in the first place, so when all this
Mhm.
hit, I'm a I went full prepper mode, like no joke, like
Yeah.
mid February. Like I went and got a bunch of respirators, and I even got like a T-Vec fucking plastic suit, like
Yeah.
fucking gloves and the whole nine. But I don't know. There's literally 50 pounds of oatmeal sitting at my door right now.
Sick.
The UPS guy is kind of just like giggling on the way up, like, what the fuck is this dude gonna do with 50 pounds of oatmeal?
Yeah.
Um, so I guess as far as like going to the grocery store, I've just recently placed my first like I don't know what to call it, but like pickup order. You like order online and then you just
Yeah,
show
yeah,
up
yeah.
and you call the number and they just come to your car. But before that, I definitely was going to the grocery store and I was like, masking up and doing all that stuff. But
Yeah.
I was kind of freaked out. I was inspired to do the pickup thing because when I was at the grocery store the past 2 or 3 times over the past month, people just didn't give a shit. They were just
Yeah,
like
bro.
reaching over you. And at one point, when it got super crazy, I was going to Costco because I'm a Costco member, and I showed up extra early before the doors opened. I don't know if you saw, I did like a live feed on my Facebook,
Yeah, yeah.
and I was like trolling some dude next to me who cut in line. But
Yeah.
there was one man in particular who I remember, an older dude who was like walking through the crowd, just like open air hacking, just, and everyone's looking at him like, "Oh, dude, you're gonna fucking kill us! Like, we're all dead."
Yeah. I think for the most part, like everyone here has been like pretty good. I've gone out a few times to like either to the grocery store, or, like I've been to Costco. I like planning to go again like this week. It's been like a month or so since I've been, but like it's just like I'm just trying to do as little as possible, dude. Really, like I've been doing the pickup. I've been doing like the grocery delivery. Just like leave it on my door. Like I'll get it.
Yeah.
Like I don't really want to mess
Even
around
with
with
the
any of that.
delivery, like we have we get a grocery delivery every 2 weeks of just like vegetables, of
Hmm.
imperfect produce. And even then I like spray the box off with like Lysol and let it sit for a couple hours, and then I
Yeah.
take all the veggies and rinse them off in the sink. And then yeah, you just never know. We have an infant, so it's just kind of it's kind of scary.
Yeah, stay safe, dude, really,
Yeah, for sure. But as far as like full prepper mode, if it really hits the fan, like we're ready with like, all the dry goods. And I was lucky enough, one of the at my work, some lady associated with my work hooked it up with like six like 5-gallon buckets of like dry goods.
Yeah.
Um she was like, I don't know if she was raised Mormon or she is Mormon, but like the Mormons, everyone could take uh like a check out of the Mormon book for like being prepared, because they like,
Yeah.
I'm not too familiar with the religion, and but they think that some shit's gonna go down eventually. But pretty much every Mormon family, or all my Mormon friends out there, can relate to probably their parents or their grandparents like trying to get ready for the crazy shit.
Yeah.
They're not trying to pray the gay away, but they're definitely trying to like save beans.
Yeah.
So I have a bunch of like potato flakes and beans and oatmeal and rice. And right now my big thing is getting my garden ready. So
Yeah.
um, it's been really cool there's this place called Portland Sand and Gravel where I literally just like pull up in my truck I call the number and I pay over the phone. I don't got to get out of my truck. And like a bulldozer comes and fills my truck up with soil.
Yeah.
So I've done that 3 times this week, just trying to get my garden prepared because Whitney and I don't want to like depend on the grocery store so much coming up
Yeah.
this like harvest season. I'm also trying to, grow some of God's plants. So that's
Yeah.
it's been a lot of work. A couple years ago, I did a super huge grow, and I don't know. We'll see what happens this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. What have you been up to?
Just been just chilling, man. Like I was doing a lot of traveling, so like now all that's like really stopped.
Yeah.
So we've just been like I mean like for the majority, for the most part, I've been like working from home for a minute.
Okay.
So like we've been handling all the record label stuff from home, doing records. Like I've been in my like downtime, I've been like trying to learn just like all the Adobe stuff, been doing some like graphic design things, like just trying to like really expand kind of like my knowledge of like things that I do. And it's
Yeah.
just like, dude, I don't know, like concerts I feel like are going to be the last thing that kind of really comes back in this whole situation. So it's like,
Yeah.
my whole like, I might as well just like find something to do in the meantime of like we're going to be here a while. So it's like might as well
I saw
brush
a
up on some
thing.
skills.
I saw a thing that said they don't expect like big concerts to be back till not this fall, but next fall, like the
Yeah.
fall of 2021.
Yeah, I saw that too.
And someone posted on a group that I saw today, and my friend Bizio, who I interviewed one of the times for this show, I saw him post on it. It was like, on a scale of 0 to 10, how fucked do you think the concert industry is right now? And he saw a full 11. Like,
Yeah, for sure, dude.
wild for you, right? As you're used to traveling and doing like being on the road, and that's
Yeah, yeah. I
lifestyle
did.
change.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was like kind of I've taken more of like an admin role, I guess you could say, of just like being off the road and like, chilling in one place. And so
Hmm.
like I've been here for a minute and like I've liked it. I haven't been traveling as much, but I still like get out a pretty decent amount.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely is like a lifestyle change of being just like fully stagnant, like not,
Yeah.
like going as much. But I mean, it's been cool. Like it's not no complaints, man. I've been enjoying the time inside and like getting able to like learn some new stuff and like,
Yeah.
you know,
But at least you're still working, right? Like you're
yeah,
still
yeah.
getting paid.
Yeah,
That's good.
we're still moving at like, as full speed as possible. But like there's a lot of people who are out there who we like associate with, whether it be like, DSP stuff or like blogs or like whoever, like a lot of these guys just aren't responding. Lawyers are taking forever to get
Yeah.
stuff. So it's just like a lot of this stuff has been like slowed down a lot. But I think for the most part we're moving at like pretty similar pace to what we were.
Yeah. So what's your official title?
My official title is label manager
Label
of
manager.
Heavyweight. Yeah. So
Are you
me
the only manager, or do you have a team that you
so we
manage?
have so it's me and my boy Ethan are kind of like the two managers of Heavyweight, and then of course Carnage being like, the CEO or like, kind of like the founder of it.
Hmm.
And so it's just like us three that work together. We have a couple of graphic design guys who we use. We have a PR guy, and then like of course like our contact with our distributor and stuff that we use. So it's kind of like that's kind of our team of everything that we do here. It's a pretty small, like we want to expand and get some stuff going, to kind of like bring some more people into the team. But for now, that's kind of like where we're at.
Yeah, I'm sure till all this blows over, it's going to be a minute before that's able to like happen, even financially for everybody, not just you
Yeah,
guys. You know?
yeah. I mean, we like I put out a thing right as this was like popping off, for an intern for a graphic design. So I like posted a job about it and stuff, and like
Mhm.
I've had tons of people apply for it, because they're just like sitting at home. They're like, well, I want to do something, and like getting my foot in the door in the music is like, and that's the hardest part is like, being able to find someone and making sure that you could do it. And it's difficult to find people who are like who fit that role well, but there's a lot of
Yeah.
people who have applied. So I've been like looking at a lot of applicants and stuff and like going through and seeing if we could find anyone who like kind of fits our creative headspace of like being able to work with us.
Well, that's cool. You're located in Vegas now?
Yeah, yeah. I've been here for like 3 years now, a little over 3 years.
Cool, cool. I just hit up Kiddo to see if he wanted to get interviewed.
Yeah.
I know he's working out there doing a bunch of stuff, and in the
It's it's at a complete standstill right now, dude. Like
yeah, I
it's
saw
I
some pictures of the strip. It looked
yeah,
wild, dude.
but like
There's no hooker cards or anything
no,
going out
dude,
right now.
nothing. Like all the casino doors are like boarded shut. We have like
What?
everything, like you drive on the strip or you drive downtown, it looks like out of a movie, you know, like, you know, when you see like you've seen like the old like post-apocalyptic movies before, and there's always
Yeah.
like signs like, oh, like, you know, warning of this, or like,
Yeah.
you know, we'll be back or whatever kind of thing, and there's like a bunch of signs like, we can't wait to welcome you back. There's like warning signs on the bus stops, and it's like, bro, this shit just looks like pre I Am Legend kind of stuff, you know, like,
Wow.
yeah.
Have you seen those those like memes going out like, can I start dressing in my pre-apocalyptic like outfit? Yeah.
Yeah. All the people who go to Burning Man are already like pretty
Dude, they're
well
ready,
geared.
dude. They have the shift pods and the respirators
Yeah.
and the fucking, yeah, the
Yeah.
ground scores.
Yeah, they got all the Mad Max gear. They're looking pretty nuts. They're ready to go.
Yeah, I'm on this like this group for like it's called the Oregon Country Fair Crew Group or something, and I was just like it's just like a bunch of like hippies planning like their yearly party.
Yeah.
And a couple weeks ago, this dude was just like, I have all the essential oils, like super wooked out, like everything should be fine. And everyone's just like trolling the crap out of him. He was
Yeah.
like 10 out of 10 serious, like, no,
Yeah.
I'll be fine, like I have my oils, like. Oh man, I know there's a lot of people right now that aren't taking it serious. Just here in Portland, you know, specifically, you know, we have, you know, we're lucky enough to have. You couldn't really do it in Vegas, you know, but like just go out to the park and spend the whole day at
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
park, you know, because in Vegas you might like burn to death.
Yeah.
But just driving around or to the grocery store or whatever, you'll see people in the park just like nonchalant, like, you know, walking and getting ice cream because apparently ice cream is essential.
Yeah.
Um, but there's also just like a lot of people who don't have cars here, and they depend on public transit, for instance, to get
Yeah.
around. It's like one of the cities where, you know, people pride themselves in not having a vehicle.
Yeah.
Where we live like on the outskirts of Portland, on the far east side of Portland, between Portland and the next town. And most people drive around here, but it's been really interesting to see so many people, I don't know, blatantly ignoring it. There's tons of kids in the street just like
Yeah.
wrestling
Yeah.
and shooting BB guns and shit. Um, it's a good childhood for sure, but I think that when we look back, well, you know, who knows? We're in uncharted territory, right?
Yeah, dude. This is like
Well,
something that we never really, like, when you think of like things that are gonna happen in your lifetime, this is like not one of those things that you're expecting to like live to like go through, you know?
for sure. So, I don't know. Let's start from the bottom, man. I always like to start from
Okay.
music because, you know, we're both, you know, from the Southwest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we both sort of started around the same time ish, right? Sort of just doing music and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, how I would just want to go back to young Panda
Okay. Okay.
because I remember young Panda, super wild times.
Yeah.
How did you get started in DJing or music, or how did you start that off? Like let's hear your story.
I mean, I probably like became kind of like a fan of like, I guess you could say kind of dance music sort of thing in like high school. But it wasn't like it was just more of just like a random like thing. I would just like listen to them every once, but I was like super into the emo shit, like into the super weird like emo rock and like all kinds of stuff like that. Was like mainly in high school. When I got out, I like, you know, was in the dance a little bit more. I think like I remember in high school I went to like a party with some friends, and it was at like a warehouse like downtown somewhere. I want to say that someone tells me, I don't know if this is true or not, but someone said it was called the Wax Shack or something like that. I think back in the day. I don't know if that's the spot or not.
The
It could
Wax
be.
Shack.
I
Oh
want to say that
man.
it was. It was like by some baseball fields or something like that, like downtown.
I
Um,
think that was the old warehouse, right? Right. Was it Vic's warehouse? Man, was it like almost like south? It's
it
just a little
was
south of town, like
super
right
like
next to the train tracks.
yeah, exactly.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I frequented that place a couple
Yeah, yeah.
times.
So that was like my first ever. I went with like some.
My
I went.
wife is laughing right
Yeah.
now.
I went with like some friends. Like I don't even remember, dude. And that was like my first experience of like a kind of like rave, I guess you could say, right?
Mhm.
And then I didn't really go back for like a minute. I had a lot of friends who were like, and my cousins and stuff like that, who were going to like Club 7 and like doing that whole thing. And I was like more, when I got out of high school, I was like more into the car scene and shit. So like
Mhm.
I was kind of like, that was where my thing was.
Mhm.
And then I remember, so this is like how the name kind of Panda like came about. was I was at a bunch of my car friends and stuff. We were all hanging out just like at a Home Depot or something. It was like 1, 2 in the morning. Everyone's like, racing and shit. So we're just like hanging out on a Saturday, and this girl comes back, and she's clearly just left a rave. She's coming around, she's being real touchy feely. So she comes out and she like starts like rubbing my head, and I'm just like, yo, what's this girl doing, dude? And then she goes, you look like a panda. That's what she said to me, right? And so all my friends were just like laughing and just like kind of, it was like a joke thing. And so like the nickname like kind of stuck, right?
Uh-huh.
And it just kept going, and I just couldn't, like, bro, I couldn't get rid of it for the life of me, dude. So then, like, fast forward like a little bit later, and I think I went to the next kind of party that I went to that I really like kind of stuck into going to parties was, I want to say it was like a Beat Wars or something like that, that was at the convention center.
Yeah,
Um,
one of Kenny's parties.
yeah. So I went
Mindful
there.
Levels, dude. Shout out
Yeah,
those
yeah, yeah.
guys.
Yeah, that was sick. It was a sick party. I went there, had hella fun. A bunch of like, people who I was friends with at the time in like the car scene were like they were all going to it. So then we went there. I remember like the parties after that following was like, it was like that. I want to say like an April Showers, a May Flowers, a Celestial Sessions, like all
Oh
these like
man.
parties, you know what I mean? And so that like led into the whole like kind of thing. So then my buddy Gil, he sees that I'm like, going to the parties and stuff. He was getting people to go. He was going to EDC that year, which is 2010. So he was like, yo, do you want to come with us? We're going to go to EDC. Like, it's going to be fun. I want to say like when I got my tickets, like I want to say tickets were like $50 or something. I think like we went like all in. I want to say I spent like $200, 250 on the trip, right? Like super cheap. Like we all went. It was super fun. Like I've never like experienced anything like on that like magnitude of like
Mhm.
being at a festival like that. And so that kind of just like really like stuck. So then we started like traveling to a bunch of stuff. We started going to stuff in Denver, started doing stuff in like, just to like go to festivals. Like this is, I'm not even DJing at this point. Like I'm just going to festivals, is like just like as a fan.
Mhm.
And so as we're going, like you're on these like long car rides and stuff. And I remember like in going to the parties in town, I would get like CDs all the time of like,
Mhm.
you know, like whether it be like people from Colorado who would have CDs, like I want to say like Paul Anthony and like those cats, to like us like Sin Seven or Curtis or someone like that, like brought in CDs. I think I had like a Baura or something like that in there. Maybe like there was just like a bunch of different stuff. So then I bought this little controller, and so I was at my house and I started like just with like Tractor, I would just like make mixes so me and
Mhm.
my friends can like listen to on the way to like go to these parties, because we would be like driving to California, driving to Denver or whatever. So then like when we would go and we would like be driving to parties and like we'd have different people in the car and stuff, people would be like, yo, these are pretty sick. Like who made this? And I'd be like, oh, it's just something I made to like we can listen to. So then like after like doing that for a little bit, I just like started getting more into it as like just a hobby, like side thing of just like making some cool shit for like just for myself and my friends. And it wasn't like ever really something that I ever took that was gonna go into like playing actual music for like people.
Mhm.
So then a buddy of mine, like he bought a Tractor controller and some speakers and stuff, and he hit me up and was like, yo, I'm gonna have this Halloween party at my house. Like I know you've been like messing around with Tractor. Do you want to like come and just like DJ at like this house, and we're just gonna like have a little party? I was like, all right. So I went by there. I DJ, dude, and it was just like so much fun, just like drinking with everybody and just like just chilling and like playing music and vibing. I must have played for like 6 or 7 hours, dude.
Oh
Like I'm not
wow.
even kidding. Like I was just there, like I had a laptop with just all this music, because all I would do at the time is just like I would come back from work, I would just sit at home and just like find tunes and just like just like hang out and just like listen to stuff. And there was like at this time I want to say like electro house was like super super big. Like that was like kind of the most like you know I guess you could say like popular thing in the club, like in the clubs or whatever. It would just be like electro house, like
It's
the
definitely
Wolf.
hot at the time.
Yeah,
Super
yeah,
hot
like
at the time.
Wolfgang Gartner, Lazy Rich. Like I think Dead Mouse was like doing like a little harder stuff than he does now, and like those kind of things. So like I just would like just dig for music and like did that, started playing some like parties. And then after we had that, like it was just like a few people that were there were like I guess they just thought that that's what I was doing when they were just like, yo, do you want to come play this party? And so me and my boy were just like, let's just go and like play these parties. Like we'll go in, we'll just like we have these speakers and like equipment and stuff. Let's just go like party to party and just like go play. So then like eventually it just got like really out of hand to where like I was going and like there would be like, at first I was just going and like just like I would have a couple homies with me and we would just play, and it would just be like, and as we were like going along, we would like level things up. I like got lights, like I would just like keep leveling up. We got subwoofers, like we would
Oh
just keep
man.
leveling up like little by little. So then eventually like I had like another homie named Josh who would go, and he was kind of like the promoter guy, right? He had all the contacts in a phone, and he would like send mass texts out and be like, this is where we're going tonight, like blah blah blah. So then like we kind of like teamed up and we would just go and we would throw these parties like at different places, and I would do this like, bro, damn near every weekend. I would say like at least one day per weekend. And like they started getting like pretty crazy to where we would have like 200-300 people that would come to these things. Like the cops were always showing up. Like it was just like out of control. And so I think my first like time that I got hit up by somebody, I want to say it was Red
Hmm.
that hit me up and was like, yo, like a lot of people have told me to like book you, like do you want to come play this party, like blah blah blah. I was like, all right. So I went and played. I want to say I did like tumbleweed or something like that, right? As like one of my first things. And then at this time, I think this is like I started getting into that a little bit, and that was like my first show, and I didn't really like, I just kept doing the parties like in the meantime.
Hmm.
And then at that time, I think I got linked up with like I'm trying to remember who brought me into the whole situation. I want to say it was maybe Brandon J
Hmm.
and one other person. I don't remember who, but that's like when I started kind of like the promotion stuff with SMG, was just like using like the whole like house party thing as like a leverage to like,
Hmm.
go get flyers out and like get people aware of like their parties and stuff. And then, you know, after talking with Brandon, he was like, oh, you DJ. He introduced me to Adam, and then like they gave me like a shot to open at Sunshine for Feed Me. So then like that was like my first like kind of bigger platform thing that I did. And then it just kind of like snowballed, I guess, of just like, I kept doing parties. Like I kept like the demand up, I guess you could say. With like the one thing that I just didn't do was like I wasn't I tried not to like put something where I was just like, okay, you're gonna like do this like party, and like I just didn't want to like do it, be like, I didn't want to be stuck playing like a 8 p.m. set or something like that, So like they would always hit me up and be like, yo, come do this, come do that, like invite all your people, like send out a text, whatever. Like they knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And I would just be like, I'm not gonna do it if I have to go at like 8 p.m. Like I'd rather just go play at a house party by myself with like all these people. Like why would I, you know? So I kind of played that card from like more of like a, I don't know, I want to say like a business end of it, but at that point I wasn't really thinking in that mindset yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I didn't think about any of that stuff. And so like um that's like kind of where my start of like the whole parties and like, getting involved in music in that realm was kind of like that. Um and then it just kind of like, as the parties progressed into like playing for other people, that's like kind of where I met artists, bigger artists at the time,
Hmm.
and was just like, mingling with them and stuff. And like, I think like I was doing a lot of like parties that I was playing with Red and stuff like that. And like a lot of the time, Red wasn't like, he wasn't drinking or doing anything, so like he would introduce them to me and be like, oh man, this guy loves to party, like you guys can go hang out with him if you want to party, like whatever, if you want to like
You were
go get
always the dude to
drunk, like
follow after, for sure. I remember
yeah.
you'd be like, "We got the spot, we're going," or there'd just be like this swarm of people. Like,
Yeah, dude. So then like it just like, that's how it kind of got started into like being able to meet people and just kind of like, just like having fun and just like going through and just making the connection of just like, oh, let's just like party, have fun, like we'll have a little after, and then like, whatever. So that's like how I kind of like got linked up with artists, of just like doing that.
Mhm.
And of course like as like time went on, I kind of like traveled around, did some stuff like within, like I met some friends who came into Albuquerque, and then they like, I had played at Beta in Denver. I did like a couple shows in Arizona at a few clubs. I did like a festival out there. Um, so it's just like, it was just all like networking that I saw to like take advantage of like pretty early on. Um, and I feel like a lot of people, back then just weren't really like, um, they just weren't like connecting the dots. I feel like the dots were
Mhm.
there, but like the people just didn't like, weren't connecting them just yet. And so like that's just kind of like where I came in and just like was just like did really well in the network kind of thing, which kind of helped, I guess, to where I'm at now, you know?
Yeah. So where, like, for people who don't know, like, where are you at now? How would you explain how you got there and what you're doing now, and how you came
Um,
into your current position?
so in playing a party, I opened for Carnage at Lotus, dude. Like this was fuck, dude. I don't even know, 20, I want to say maybe 2013,
Uh-huh.
something like that. And so it was a similar situation. Like Red hit me, and I was just like, so he would hit me on a couple of people and be like, "Yo, what do you think about this guy? Like, do you think they're worth any tickets? Like, how do you think like the club will do?" He sent me Carnage a while back and was like, "Hey, how do you think this guy will do?" It's like, "Yo, he's really hot right now. Like his records are doing well. Like, you know, he's had like a lot of SoundCloud stuff like that's going really good. Like you should book him." And the price was like stupid low. And so he books them. He comes out. We have like an insane show. So after, you know, they want to have an after party, they want to do something. So I link up with them. You know, we go out, have fun. Um, we party until like, I don't know, do like 4 or 5 in the morning, right? So then the next day I wake up, and we were talking about, you know, because our next show the next day was in El Paso. So we were kind of talking about like, yo, let's, you know, I'm thinking about driving down to El Paso just because it's like, you know, 3 hours away, whatever. So they call me the next morning. His tour manager hits me and he goes, "Yo, man, like we missed our flight this morning, and like there's not a way for us to get to El Paso. Like, can you? Are you still planning on going?" And
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, I do." And he was like, "Do you mind picking us up and we'll all drive down there?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure. Why not?" So then I scoop him up and we drive down to El Paso. You know, we like grab some dinner, like get set up at the hotel, and then like go to the show. At the time I was doing the SMG stuff with Adam, so he was like, "Yeah, if you're bringing him down, like I'll let you open for him at the show here." And it was like a crazy show. I want to say it was like 20, like 2,000, 2,200 kids, something like that. I mean, it was a pretty big show.
Those SMG shows in El Paso, Adam, it's super wild. Like how
Yeah,
huge that crowd was.
yeah.
Huge, huge.
They
I
were
don't know.
just
A
like,
couple times I went down there with John when he opened for Carl Cox and Nicole Madubar,
yeah, yeah,
and it was just wild.
yeah. Nuts, dude. I still to this day, like anyone asks me like what's some of the craziest cities you've been, what's the craziest like crowd responses, like what's the craziest like, you know, people just like seeing people, and like El Paso's up there and like definitely 100%. And so we went down there, played the show, same thing again, went out, had a party, you know, had fun. Like next day, you know, his manager hits me, they left to New York already. And so he hits me and he was like, "Yo, man, that was fun. Like anytime that you're in the area, that you're, if we're around or whatever, just like hit me up and let's like link up." So it had been like a few months goes by, and then I went to Global Dance Festival in Colorado. And so I hit them up
Mm.
and I was like, "Yo, I'm out here at Global. Like, I know you guys are playing. Like, you know, let's link up." So they hooked me up with some passes. I like went and linked up with them. And that was kind of like a little bit of the same for a little bit, where we just kind of like cross paths at a lot of places, Arizona, like, you know, just like kind of Southwest a little bit. And then, you know, one of my other boys who I actually met the same night with him was he became friends with him, and so he was like always hanging out with them and stuff, going out to LA, hanging out. And so they were doing like a New Year's thing that year, and it was like him and Borgor. And so he invited me to come out to like to New Year's in LA. So I went out there, you know, kicked it with them, and then it was just a lot of that, man. Like I really wasn't like um at the time I was just kind of like I was still DJing back home and still like doing stuff back home. And then I would go out to certain places, and like if there was a place where like they could fit me in to like, you know, do an opening slot for them or something, I would do that. So like I would play in Phoenix, I'd play in like, you know, other little places where I would like go around to, and we just like became friends. So then kind of over the years of just like, you know, just traveling around as like a friend, I'm, you know, I'm paying my way, I'm not getting paid to like go or anything like that. So I just like go. His tour manager was getting, you know, kind of like older at the time, and so he hits me and he was like, "Yo, man, like, you know, um a lot of the guys who are with us aren't really like responsible, you know, and like I
Yeah.
know that you do like a lot of stuff, like you work back home, you like, you know, you're like you do other things, like I you know, you're not like a complete idiot, and so you're just like I can like trust you to like be able to like do a bunch of stuff, and like I want to like, you know, kind of like have you come with me on the road with him and kind of like shadow me for like a couple months and like get the gist of like the tour management stuff. And if you're like willing to get on the road full time, then like I want to bring you on as like his tour manager." So I said, "All right, dude, like I'm super down. Like this is like you know, like aside from like doing music to do like to play and like be in like an artist level, and like I enjoyed, you know, making music and like doing, you know, playing music and doing all that sort of thing. But I think like at the end, like I still enjoy doing that, but like for me personally, like I've just like always been more in like the business side of things.
Yeah.
So like to get into it in the business aspect was very appealing. So, you know, I went with them, shouted around for like a couple of shows with him just to get the gist of it. um you know, I got linked with this management company, they set me up, and then I started traveling with him, and then kind of like my first like, here you go, like you're going to be on the road with them full time, was like they sent me overseas. So I
Oh,
like
word.
went to, it was my first time ever leaving the country. Like I'd never even been to like Mexico or anything at this point. So then like I went to the Philippines for 2 days, Thailand for 5 days, and then India for 4 days.
Oh, wow.
So that was like my first like, and so it's like to get to jump from like never leaving the country to going into like a third world country was just like the craziest shit ever.
Oh, wild.
So then it was like, you know, we went there. I did that. I tour managed for a pretty decent amount of time. We did a ton of festivals, done a lot of like overseas stuff, a lot of like, you know, I did Europe. I've done. I mean, I think I have a total of like 30 countries or close to 30 countries. So it's like
Wow.
that was like my main like goal, like when I got into like doing that, was like I just want to travel, you know, like I'm young, I don't have anything tying me down, I don't have a girl, I don't have a kid, like I'm just like I might as well take the time that I have to like be able to go see a bunch of stuff, be able to further my path like in the music industry of just like being around and doing stuff like that. So that's kind of like, you know, I did that for a while, and like you know, as time went on, I kind of like took on more responsibility of like, you know, I'm involved so much on like a day-to-day capacity. So then at that point, like now that I was traveling full time, I moved to Vegas. You know, I lived with him. So it was just kind of like we were just always kind of like moving, you know. It was just like if we weren't if we weren't touring somewhere, we would be like in Atlanta working with rappers on music, in LA working with people on music, like in New York doing press stuff or doing something else. So I was like getting more involved with like business aspect outside of touring, that like I was just kind of like slowly getting in and just like slowly kind of like learning the ins and outs of like everything, like you know who these contacts are. And like the good part is like, you know, being able to like interact with a lot of people, and being able to network and like keep those connections for like now is really good. So like, um as it kind of like, you know, went along, he had gotten rid of his management company that he was with at the time. So me and my business partner Ethan were like, we kind of like took over for them since we had been involved in his career for so long. At this point, that we kind of like knew everything that was going on. So we kind of like did a lot of like management stuff for him. Basically, ran everything. You know, started doing some music releases and stuff. And at that point, you know, the label had been, you know, kind of started at that point. We had a couple songs out on it. And so as we brought in like a new management team, we had like distance back and like started working on like the label's front of things. And like, you know, we still have like a lot of big term goals with the label. So it's just kind of like we were getting started, like signing a couple artists, you know, doing that thing. And then so it's in it, and I've always just kind of like stayed involved in the touring aspect and stuff like that since that point. And so now pretty much at this point, like I'm kind of like the touring, I guess like coordinator, you could say. Like I don't travel full time, but like, you know, I'm in charge of like making sure everything is good, you know, making sure like, okay, this is what this should be in this budget, like we'll move it here, you
Hmm.
know, we'll do this, etc. And so like, just because I think logistically I've always been pretty good with that kind of stuff. And so, you know, now we're like, we're here, we run the label, so now we have like a pretty good flow of stuff and everything, and it's been like a pretty wild ride over the past couple of years. And so um that's where I'm at now, man. That's kind of how I've gotten into my position.
That's such a cool story to just like being able to network and, you know, like you said, connecting the dots, and especially
Yeah.
connecting the dots early on. I'm sure there's a ton of people out there probably watching right now that want to be in a position like you are right now, you know,
Yeah.
managing artists or running a label. You know, I interviewed Tony H the other day, who had a similar story about starting a label and like moving around and, you know, kind of learning the ropes as he went.
Yeah.
um, so it's really cool to hear everyone's sort of story in their own version.
Yeah.
I'm sure, you know, being on the road in particular and doing all those big shows, um, what's I guess what comes to mind is like what are some crazy party stories like off from the road that you're allowed to talk about? I would love to hear. Because I've seen some fun videos of you just like out there, like, you know, here comes the VIP girls with the sparklers and the champagne. Like,
Yeah, yeah, of course.
I'm sure that's such a wild ride. Like, so many people out there, like they see themselves in this limelight, but I'm sure it's
Yeah, yeah.
at the same time very hard and very stressful. But I'm sure like the good times are super good. But I would like to hear like a fun wild story that you could think of.
So like, I mean, when I think of like places that come to mind in terms of like party places, I have two of like major that are like, people are always saying like, oh man, Vegas, that's the party capital of like the bro. Vegas is not shit, doesn't hold a single finger up to Miami or Ibiza 100%.
Okay.
So like my first time I went to Miami, I went for my birthday. This was, I don't know, dude, I want to say maybe like 4 years ago.
Hmm.
Um, so we go to Miami, and I've have a lot of friends who are down there. They work in clubs and stuff like that who I've met, and so we head down there, and we go out to Carnage has a show at Story. So we went, and like, it's my birthday, so we have some stuff coming out. We're drinking and stuff, and then we go to this place called 11, and that's like, if you see my stories and stuff, you've definitely seen me there. And like, it's like my second home of any club. It's the most club I've ever frequented ever, and it's just like a good vibe. Like, we've done a lot of shows there. We know management there. Like, my friend's like a head of VIP there, so it's like we've had a lot of fun. Like, it's just a good environment. So like, we go there. It's just like, basically what it is it's a nightclub, but it's also a strip club. So it's like a 24-hour, it doesn't close ever, 24-hour like nightclub, strip club. So when the other clubs close at like 4 in the morning, everybody goes to 11. And you kind of like, so this is my first ever, time going there. It was my birthday. So then we have bottles coming out, we're drinking, we're chilling. And then like, I don't know, I looked down at my phone, it's like 8 in the morning, right? So we get some food and stuff coming in. We get some food. There's like champagne coming. I'm just like drinking champagne. Like, I'm wasted at this point, like practically sleeping in the club. So then it's like, we go, and then they finally like we get out, we leave, like, they like get me up. They're like, come on, man, we gotta like go back. We're going back to the room. So then like I leave. We like go back to the hotel. I like go to sleep, and this is like 10:30, 11 in the morning. So then I get like a loud bang on my door, and I'm like, dude, did I like sleep until the next day? Like, because I'm still supposed to be here another night. So like, what's going on? So then like I wake up, and it's been 2 hours, and it's Carnage like banging on my door, and he's like, yo, we have to go to this lunch. We agreed to go to this lunch yesterday. And I was like, fuck, dude. And so we're going to lunch with Dave Grutman, who is like, Dave Grutman's like the king of like Miami. He's owns Live, Story, like, the biggest clubs. He owns like, tons of restaurants and shit. So he's like a huge guy. So, this is my first time like meeting him. I'm absolutely hungover out of my mind. So I like hop in the shower. I'm trying not to like throw up. We get in the car. We go to his house. And so like we get to his house, and I'm like sitting there. He has like someone making a lunch. Like, we're sitting there like trying to have like a nice time. I'm hungover, like out of my mind. Like, I'm trying so hard not to throw up like everywhere all over this dude's house. So I'm like, so I'm in the bathroom, like sitting there, like kind of prep talking myself to like get through it. And like we finally get through. We're there for like an hour and a half or so. Finally leave. I like go back. I'm like, dude, I gotta go to bed, dude. Like, I gotta sleep this off. Like, and then go back out for another night. But I think like there's a lot of like similar stuff to that. But I think I didn't really. That was like before I got into like kind of like the business side of things. So like as we moved into like more of the like touring and like being like more responsible and stuff like that, I kind of like stepped away from getting like completely shattered on the road, because it's just like you're worried about more than just yourself at that point, and you're like worried about like making sure you make the next flight, making sure you get from here to here. And so like, but I want to say that time in Miami was probably one of the like craziest nights I've had in my life for
Did you or
sure.
did you not puke?
I didn't puke, dude. I
Yes.
didn't puke. I held it together. I've actually only puked probably twice in my life from drinking, ever. Which I feel like is probably not a good thing, because I feel like it's good for you to like kind of puke and like get everything out of your system, and like keep it moving. But
Dude, Barrow's gonna kill me for telling you this and telling people this, but I don't think he even remembers when we brought him out to Portland to just like hang out with us and play our show.
yeah.
Whitney's cracking the fuck up right now. He slept in our extra room and he got ripped. Like he got ripped. He was drinking tequila and drinking beer, and we were in the sun all day.
Yeah.
And I had him play with me like 3 nights in a row here. Like we were just like going out every night. We like went to a party, and then I went and played a show, and he played with me at like the Portland night market with my friend C's does, which is like this fucking immaculate, like I can't even explain it. It's a party / like flea market, swap meet / like artist booth thing, and they got like speakeasy bars like in this area, and they have the sound wired into this huge building and outdoor patio. So we start off there for the weekend, then he plays our patio the next day, and then we go out the next night. The night that we did our patio party, he was so ripped, like it was a struggle just like getting him to help us. Like he's like he's like, let me get the speaker. We're like, no dude, go sit down. You're gonna like drop like all this sound. We had rented like this huge like line array, and then it was just like me and Berg and a couple of extra friends just like getting the line array, and we're like, no dude, don't touch the line array, just like go sit down. We wake up in the morning after we had been out partying, and I go to my restroom. He had, instead of puking in the toilet, puked in our fucking our laundry basket.
Oh shit.
He does not remember. Like we actually still have this laundry basket, and it's like still stained or whatever. It's washed now, but I tried to tell him like, dude, you puked in our laundry basket. He was like, nah, and I was like, dude, I didn't puke in the laundry basket.
That's amazing.
Puke in the laundry basket.
That's
Super
amazing.
Oh man. I think I've only puked when I'm drinking tequila myself. I don't know, something about tequila, man.
Yeah, I think my first puke was probably like I was drinking something like some sugary like drink. You know how it is, like just not like if I was just drinking something straight, I'd probably be okay. But it was something like sugary and like disgusting and like I think maybe like and then I think one other time from like a lot of Jaeger bombs. That was like my thing. Like when I first was like getting into whole going to the club and doing stuff. It was just a lot of Jaeger, a ton of Jaeger. I can't even drink it now, dude.
I remember going to a party once and you had Goldschlager.
No shot,
dude.
Oh god.
You had Goldschlager. I just remember because it must have been like the last bottle left or something. You're like, this is all we have, and you were swirling the bottle. It was one of those
with the flakes.
You're just like, look, we got swirl it around. Look at the flakes swirl.
Yeah.
Ibiza, how was that? You have any maybe favorite sets that you heard there?
That was so if I like think back, right, and like so like in 2011-ish or whatever, I remember me and my boy Gil were like, yo, he was telling me about Ibiza, and he was like, yo, we have to go there for a summer. That's like our goal, was like, we have to go spend a summer in Ibiza. That was like our, that was like something that we wanted to do. So then like, fast forward to, I think 2018 is when I went. I get there and we decided we're gonna like stay in Ibiza during like our off time in Europe. We did a 2-month like tour through Europe. So like during that time we did like all of our off days. If we had any off days, off weekends, like whatever, we just like flew back to Ibiza and stayed there. So I spent all in all like around 3 weeks in Ibiza.
Wow.
Which is, I do not recommend doing that. Don't ever do that. But I mean, like, it was cool because Carnage, like he's like just a really like talkative person, so he knows like everybody, and like even in the techno world, like he's friends with like the owners of Circo Loco, the people who like people who run Pacha, people who run like Ushuaia and all these places. And so like I was lucky enough to be able to like go to like all these places and like be able to see all these sets, because it's like really 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 expensive to do anything out there. So it's like, if you want to go to a club, you want to go see Solomon at the club, like it's going to cost you like $250 just to get in the club. And it's just like, it's ridiculous. But I want to say like, I got to see so many people who were like, it was just like, I saw, a Solomon. It was like, I want to say a Solomon plus one with like him and like DJ Tennis. That was like an amazing party. I saw we went to a black coffee party at
So
High that was insane.
one of my
Um,
favorite DJs right there.
yeah, black coffee was just like that was like, there's a lot of things of like that are like really hype in kind of like the techno and like house scene. I want to say like in Ibiza and stuff, like black coffee nights are up there like in the most in demand night. And then I think probably some of the most like memorable parties are like the coolest, like I guess that you could say of that's just like really gets you like the feel of like Ibiza would probably be like Circle Loco and Paradise at DC10 were
Okay.
probably like the biggest, like Jamie Jones, Martinez Brothers, like all those at DC10 was like the craziest parties just because it's like just slammed packed just full of people. Like there's not a lot of lights, there's not a lot of like flash to the whole thing. Like it's just a really like, just like music and that's it, and like
Yo,
there's not really like, with a lot of these places it's like the residencies are every week, right? So like every week, like on every week on this day they have like whatever person with like his special guests, and like the theme is always recurring, so they like build it out and they like put up this crazy production that like reflects like that party. And so it was cool to like go to a place that's just like really dumbed down, like there's not like a bunch of lights, there's not a bunch of stuff, like everyone's just in there like just kind of vibing, and like it's really like a tight quarters, like it's just like a perfect setting kind of vibe,
yo.
and it was sick. Like it was a lot of fun, dude. Like that place was just nuts. Like there was so many cool like just cool parties. Like it was just like, but it's weird because as you get into like the kind of like techno community of like being able to like go to these like bigger places like that, I notice a lot of the same people. So like when we're doing like that, or like Art of the Wild in Vegas, or Art Basel in Miami, like a lot of these same people who are traveling around, they all go to the same places, and there's like these weird party destinations like that are like Ibiza. And so it's very interesting, but it's been cool to like see, because I feel like that side of like music like operates like so much differently than like what I was used to going to and like what I was used to seeing.
How are the language barriers going around the world? Like, how did you deal with just speaking English?
um a lot of times like we have depending on like where we're going, a lot of times we would have like a translator or somebody with us, like if we
Okay.
were in somewhere that's super rough, like like China, Japan, something like that.
Yeah.
But I think like a lot of the times there was a lot of people who spoke English, so there's like a lot of like um like all the DJs and stuff like that who would go speak English. Like most of
Hmm.
the promoters and everything speak English. I think the only time that we really like had a lot of difficulties is like we're going out and I'm like on like what was it, like TripAdvisor or whatever,
Oh.
or like Yelp or something. I'm like trying to find a place to like go eat, and I like find like a spot, and we like go to this like because like that was like one thing is like as I started traveling and became like a super big foodie. So like
Dude,
we just like
yes.
we started just eating like like we're just like we gotta okay, so we're here like in Porto, Portugal, like we gotta find the best place with like the best food that we could possibly get. So we would go through and I'd find these places and we would go, and they're like super super local spots. So then you're like trying to like hash it out with like bro and just be like, oh, this is what I want. So it's
Uh-huh.
like but I think a lot of places actually make it very easy to like
Yeah.
go and like order. Like almost every place I've been to had like an English menu of some sort, or like something with photos, or like whatever it is. It's like I think it actually makes it very simple. Like and then when you come back here, you're like, man, if I was someone who spoke a different language and I came to America, like
Be
I wouldn't know
fucked.
shit. I wouldn't know shit.
Yeah. Global English is a thing. Every place that we've traveled, we did a stint in Egypt, and everyone speaks Arabic as well as like seven other languages. I think it
Yeah,
really opens your eyes to how closed off we are as Americans, and
yeah,
how sometimes narrow-minded like our single language often is here in the United States.
yeah,
You hear a lot of sentiment from some people who are like, why don't you speak English? Well, we don't have like a country, a designated language. We're a country of immigrants. And it was beautiful traveling around the world. Whitney and I, whether we were in India or we were in Nepal, we were in Egypt, wherever we went, we're doing Qatar, I don't know if
yeah.
you've been to that airport in Qatar, in Doha.
Uh-huh.
But just everywhere we went, the amount of people who know so many different languages was very impressive. And I felt
Yeah,
like I almost felt left out. Like, and sometimes I would travel like, dude, like one of our guides in Egypt when we were there. Gotta say, we were there for New Year's 2010. It's like right before the revolution. I remember one of our guides was like teasing the other guide because he only knew 5 languages when all the other guides knew 7. He's like, yeah, I know French, Spanish, Italian, English, Arabic, and then like, what in the world? Like, what's that dead language? Sanskrit. The dude knew Sanskrit. It was like, isn't that a dead language? He's like, no, like me and my family, we speak it.
That's crazy.
And this dude's like chain smoking cigarettes through like this borehole in his teeth that he smoked so many cigarettes through. Something about the Middle East that they don't tell you, especially Middle East, India, a lot, definitely India, is like people smoke.
Yeah.
Dude, and I'm sure, like, how did you deal with like the smoke in the clubs overseas?
Dude, the worst was probably China for sure.
Yeah.
Like they're just like, I mean, that I've never, between China and India, I don't think I've ever been to like a place that has more like pollution. Like I went to Mumbai and like I remember getting out of the car and like going to the hotel and like we're driving down the freeway and I was like, this is fucking mayhem, dude. Like this is nuts. And so like we get there and like we're in the hotel and it's like the thing is like people like it's such a like it's hard to put into perspective of like what so like the best way that I could describe where we were staying was like we get in and we're like at one of the nicest hotels I've probably ever stayed at in my life, in this amazing hotel in the middle of like Mumbai, and you like go, and to get there you had to enter these like crazy iron gates and like everything inside the gates is like nice and like landscaped and there's like grass and all this stuff, but the road that I drove in was a dirt road that like, you know what I mean, you like go in there. I didn't see a stoplight for the whole time that I was there. And like, so you get into this thing, dude. And it's like, it was nuts, bro. India was probably like, and then we took a trip to like, like to visit like the super, like, I don't know what you would call it, like slums area or something like that of there. Like the driver like took us around. We didn't really have time to like be able to go. Like I wanted to like do sightseeing and stuff like that, but like we didn't have like a whole lot of time. We were just like bumping around show to show, but definitely like I would say there and like China, just like people just chain smoke, dude. And like I feel like it's just like a really like a big like Asian thing was like, even I've noticed it in a lot of other places too, like even in Japan not as much, but like places like Thailand for sure still too, or like they just like, it's just like I feel like it's just one of those things that like it's just been very embedded in their culture. And like even when you like, if you watch like an anime or something like that and you like go back and you like see there's always like the old guy that's there just like chain smoking cigs, and it's like that's real shit. That's like really how it is over there.
Yeah, super. Every place we've been in Asia, it was, God, so much smoking and Marlboro Reds for this. Yeah. Everyone smoking Marlboro Reds just often on like little kids walking down the street, like a 5-year-old smoking Marlboro Reds and trying to sell you a carton of Marlboro Reds. You're like, oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
He's like $5. I was like, dude, if I smoke cigarettes, that'd be a good deal, but I don't know how I'd feel buying them from you.
Yeah. Definitely not good.
Yeah. Do you know what I appreciate is like the hustle that I saw overseas of just other people. I feel like in America, my general perception of Americans is like the majority of us are lazy as fuck compared to other countries.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that we were hiking through the Himalayas in Nepal probably 2 years ago, and we went in the off season because it was cheaper. We actually went during the rainy season, which they do not recommend because there's leeches everywhere. And we're on like a 4-day hike through the mountains. We're backpacking, and we have to make 20 miles today to get to our next destination, or else we're going to be sleeping out here in the cold. And I remember, whether it was us hiking through the forest and all of a sudden there's just like one soldier on a trail with a gun, like that's the checkpoint. We're hiking through this trail, and God, in the middle of fucking nowhere, I'm talking like nowhere, dude. We hiked like 15 miles through the middle of the forest. Like there's nothing out here other than just like, small villagers and farming. Once in a while you'll see like a cow like dressed up or something. And we come across this like little hut. It was almost like a government's like housing emergency sort of like housing thing.
Yeah.
There's this man like selling like mini bags of Lay's and just like little snacks like Oreos and stuff like that. And this, I don't know how this man got there. He must have been a villager from, a couple miles away. But this man, he had some physical disabilities to the point where like I had no clue how he got there. And it's like muddy, like he had these physical deformities in his feet where like his feet like moved like out this way, like he couldn't walk. He had like this cane where he could barely move. And we came up and I was like, yeah, dude, I want some Lay's. Like I want some chips. And I ended up buying a bunch of stuff from him because I was like, dude, like, yeah. And I hooked him out and gave him a couple extra bucks. So I was just like, dude, the hustle. It didn't matter in where we were at in any foreign country. When we were in Egypt, people are like tugging on you and trying to sell you this or that to little kids. But the hustle, I can appreciate so much more. People don't understand that, God, I'm not putting anyone down for being down and out here in the United States because we have a huge population that are down and out, and there's poverty level. You go to the reservation, the Native American reservation, and you see poverty at its realest. But compared to other places in the world, we're so much better off. And I feel that if some of these people out there doing some of these things, would see the hustle that these other people have, and it's definitely a cultural thing. I think that it's definitely cultural where people feel like they don't have any other option. But you spend one day in Mumbai and you will change your whole aspect, your whole perspective of what you think you can do.
Yeah.
And these people are literally getting by with less than nothing. So I think being well-traveled is good for anyone, that especially living here in the West. We have so much more advantages than other people just living physically where we have clean water. You're in a room that has blinds right now. There's not 16 of your family members in there. You know what I mean?
Facts.
There's not a dude peeing outside your window on your house. That was something actually weird in India. Public urination in India is like just a thing.
Yeah. It's a very weird place, dude. Like, especially because you would go around and you would catch whiffs of random things, and you're like, I don't know what that is, dude. Of just like,
Yeah. Whitney says so public kissing is illegal in India.
Really?
Yeah, you could pee and you whip out your dick and just like piss anywhere. But if you kiss in India, it's like you get a fine, you get thrown in jail.
Jesus.
Yeah, you can't kiss. Like I kissed Whitney was like, she was wanting to be bad. She's like, kiss me. I was like, fuck it, yeah. And I remember she would just do it on purpose. We
committed a crime right now.
Yeah, we're take us to jail. But I just remember like we could go to jail for this. And she's like, whatever, right? But I just remember being on the bus and just randomly there'd just be like a dude like, oh, I'm fucking tired, bloop, just pissing. And it's a cultural thing. Some people just don't understand.
Yeah.
People talk about, I was dealing with some people who were being kind of like racist, completely racist, and talking about China and how this, this current virus is coming from China. People are eating bats and people are doing this. You're obviously not Chinese. You don't speak Mandarin. You have no clue what Chinese culture is all about.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is this culture consumes different types of animals and they have a different type of cuisine. I'm sorry, not everyone eats meat and potatoes for every meal like you do. And it's super processed. We have this complete disconnection with our food here. Your food doesn't usually have a face, when you get it on your plate, but most of the time it started out with the face, right?
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to talk to people who aren't well-traveled, to try to come to a common ground of understanding with them. So I always appreciate conversating with someone who's like been around the world a couple times, and man, I wish that I could add 30 countries to my belt. That's pretty incredible. And the perspective that you have just being in nightclubs and those type of things is really, really cool, because even when I was in India, I was trying to find places and asking people about them. The culture was very interesting. They're like, oh no, we don't go there.
Yeah.
That's where like the sinners go.
It's like, it was weird, dude. Like, especially when we did the shows in India.
Yeah.
Very, very strange. Like, very like, I mean, there's people there, but I mean, like, if you're like, women don't go out really in India. Like, they do. Some of them do. Like, there's like certain ones that will, but I would say like the ratio of like men to women would probably be like 150 to 1, or you know what I mean? Like, it's very, very scarce. And then like everyone that's there just wants to like especially in the clubs, they just want to like be in your personal space.
Oh
So
yeah.
like whether it be the promoters, like I had to like really get on this promoter because like he would come into the booth, and Carnage would be doing his thing DJing, and this guy would be like, he would just like get in, like trying to like get in there with him with like a phone, and I'm just like, bro, get away, what are you doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? Just like let the guy do his thing. And they just like don't understand, like the concept of when I would tell him that, he would just be like, get so angry because he would think, he would be like, he was like, what am I doing wrong? I'm just trying to get a video. And I'm like, bro, you're like against the guy, you know what I mean? Like you're like literally like just right here, like on his back pretty much, like what are you doing? And like it was just like I mean, yeah, coming from like being able to see all those is like, and like it was just very weird, like there. And like China is that's one of the places, man, that's like, that's the weirdest place I've ever been in my life for sure, hands down. Like it's just like, it doesn't even feel like a real place. Like there's some cities I went to that were like, I went to Guangzhou, which was the first place I went to in China, was super cool. Like it was very modern, like it was very clean. Like but where the club was like in a mall. So like you had to they drive us to this like car park, you go underneath. And like what was crazy is you drove underneath and there was like a whole nother set of roads underneath the road. So then you go in, we somehow ended up in this like underground mall, and then they take us up in an elevator, we get up to this other floor, and we're in this club. And the clubs there, the craziest ones I've ever seen in terms of like production stuff. So you get up there and there's just like a lot of bottle service tables around everywhere. And the people there that are at the club that are like in like, just kind of like general admission, just kind of vibing around, it was a very weird mix of like what seemed to be like people who could have been paid to be at the club,
Oh wow.
and then what was like people who were like truly like fans of the music, and then like foreigners who were like happened to be in China who were like looking for a club, found a club. And then there would always be like weird like Russian dancers of some sort. And then so like the way the bottle service works there is, and this is like when it was first, like the club scene is really really just like kind of starting to jump. And so how the bottle service would work was you would go in and you can buy your bottles for like an extended for the year. So like you could buy and the club will store your stuff there. So then when you come back again, you would just be like, okay, cool. They put you at your table and you would just keep your supply that you had coming. So it's like very weird. They would pull out these like cages and they would have like these people, they would bring out like bottles and then they would be on these like stands in the thing, and everyone would just be kind of sitting around these like stands of bottles. And like there would just be like the most expensive like Louis, like there was this guy just sitting there and it was him and like 5 other people with like 10 bottles of Louis the 13.
What
Just
the
kind of like it was just like a pissing competition between like them
Yeah.
and like the other guys. But I feel like the club was making the money off of these people who were doing the bottle service, and they're kind of just having these like filler characters of like people who are in the club kind of
Okay.
thing. It started to gain more traction as I went back a few more times, of like there would be actual people and actual fans of the music and like things like that, because I feel like because now there's like more, like for us, for example with us as a distributor, we're able to distribute to like these Chinese like DSPs and stuff, but like
Mhm.
they're very strict, like no cuss words, like they don't even like rap music, like they don't like a lot of certain things. And like so it's still very like
Dude, the
weird
CCP
of
is
how
no
it
joke,
works.
dude.
Yeah, dude.
Did you have some like rules like when you went to some of these countries, like this is a no-no, like don't fuck with this? I know, when they were very when we went to India, they pulled all the married people and we are like, are you married? Like no kissing. And we're like, what the fuck? Like this is weird.
Yeah.
The rule like they told us about. Is there anything that you remember that was just odd for you that you could or couldn't do?
I mean, I don't remember anything, but I think they just kind of like, they just kind of expect you not to just be like a complete sack of shit and just like go crazy over there. But I just know that I remember like they're very serious about like the visa thing. Like you had to have a certain type of visa. Like they would periodically, like they would have like, it never happened to us, but I've heard of it happening to other artists, where like kind of like the government would come in and they would check everyone's visas, and if you didn't have the correct entertainer visa, then like they would just like kick you out instantly, or like take you to
Wow.
like a Chinese like holding kind of like situation. It's happened
Mm-hmm.
to like, it happened to a few people at EDC like last year, the year before. So it was like, other than stuff like that, I don't really remember any rules outside of like probably like Singapore, which was like no throwing, no spitting, no like
Yeah.
putting gum on the floor, like
Super clean
you can't
country.
even chew gum. Yeah, like
Have you
other
ever
than like
flown Singapore Airlines?
yes.
Dude, what's your theory on the Singapore clones?
I don't know, man.
Whitney's laughing in the other room right now, but there's a thing where if anyone out there has flown Singapore Airlines, you understand that they hire this like look.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of airlines too, like they have it. Like I've flown Korean Airlines, I've flown Japanese Airlines of stuff, and I've seen like what you're talking about of just like, you know what I mean? Like
Attack of the Clones, dude.
yeah, I think like, dude, I want to say, I don't know.
They have a cloning operation in Singapore, dude.
It's
They
possible.
put all that they cloned the same girl and put her on the airplane. I was like really blown away by this. Is we flew like 3 Singapore Airlines flights and we were just like, what in the world? Like one of our flights, I could not tell her, like, I'm really good about telling who people are, but it was insane. Like exactly the same height, exactly the same body type, same facial, like soft face. They obviously went for a very specific look, and that, as a brand, they have whatever they have down.
Yeah, for sure. What's your favorite airline that you've taken? Do you have that? Do you have like a favorite like
fucking
airline?
Southwest, dude.
Southwest.
You get to sit wherever the fuck you want.
That's your.
You log in the day before, you get A, and you just fucking sit in the front of the plane. You don't got to worry about anything.
Yeah.
I don't fuck with business class or first class. I've flown. Alaska's nice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? God, there's another one that we had flying out of Doha that was good, but in reality, here in the States, Southwest Airlines.
Yeah, for sure.
If I was to take a super long flight, I might, if I was to fly like 20 hours plus, and if I had the financial means, definitely I might opt for a little bit more legroom, but I'm not going to die.
Yeah.
If I'm going to, I could plop my computer on and, get onto Ableton and make some beats and get lost in my own head. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm cheap or if I'm just that's just how I was raised. Dude. I feel like people, Mexicans growing up, we just like that's what you flew. It's like the international flight of Mexicans is Southwest Airlines. Like we don't know anything else. Like what? There's another airline? Like the first time I flew something else that wasn't Southwest. Like I was bewildered that there was classes like ABC. What?
Yeah.
You
like got onto like you have an assigned seat. You're like, what? Dude?
I just can't sit where I want.
Yeah.
I think the worst thing about flying, for whatever reason, Whitney and I have flown hundreds of times, and 95% of the time, I'm not kidding you, 95% of the time, Whitney sits directly in front of the seat of the kicking or screaming child.
Yeah.
Never fails.
The worst, dude.
One flight we were on, I don't know where it was from, but it was a really long flight, and this kid with an iPad, 5-year-old kid, parent, babysitting with the iPad. This kid was like full on kicking her seat, like kicking. She's like angry. I can see her angry right now just thinking about it. But the kid was kicking, and Whitney and I both like look back at the parents and being like, "What?" And they were parents. They were definitely like, I don't know if they're Italian or French. They're definitely European. And we look back at the parents, and both of us were just like, "What? Like, what are you doing?" And like without a care in the world, just looked at us and we're just like, meh, like that, blown away. But I feel like a lot of worse people would have probably like thrown a fit, but I guess we didn't want to be those Americans, you know what I mean? Yeah. That I feel like traveling around the world, Americans get a lot of shit,
100%.
So like the last half of our trip in Egypt, we were just like telling people we're Canadians, so we didn't get fucked with.
Yeah.
Just from other foreigners, like people were just like really rude to us. You're like, what? You're American? Fuck you guys. Like, oh, dude, okay. Like, just not even wanting to deal with it.
We would always catch a lot of I must have pulled into like every time I flew out of any airport in India was like extra security screening every time.
Yep.
Like and then whenever on the return back home, we flew from I flew from India to Abu Dhabi and then did Abu Dhabi to LAX, which was a ridiculous 17-hour flight. But like when we went from Abu Dhabi, like I remember they pulled me to a room, like they were like asking me all kinds of questions. I was like, dude, they're like, what's your business? And then like they couldn't like fathom the fact that I was like traveling doing music stuff, and they were just like, what is this, like what were you doing out here, did you take money? We're like, no, we didn't take any money, like what are you talking about, like. So they're
Dude.
just like, yeah, it was just like going through that stuff, especially in India, dude. I noticed it heavy. Like some of the other places, not so much. Like I can imagine like some place like Egypt, like that's somewhere I want to go. It's on my bucket list. I haven't
Highly
done.
recommend.
Yeah,
It's a
but
super like I'm not saying it's cheap, but it's affordable if you were
yeah,
to, especially right now. um but it's definitely affordable. I would definitely recommend not doing your like the regular sort of trip. If you ever go there, please let me know, and I will like
yeah,
hook you up with like a personal guide to like take you off the record of like the all the companies and give you like the real deal. um
yeah.
yeah, shout out Amar out there. And
I'm definitely down with that.
yeah, dude, super super cool dude. um wow, dude, what what a talk. I hope you're doing well out there, man. Just trying to
Thank you, man.
be socially.
You as well.
I don't like using the term social distance. I rather use the term physical distance because we can
Yeah,
still be social, right? We can
yeah,
still
yeah,
sit
exactly.
here and talk with one another.
Yeah.
What do you like to do outside of work, outside of music things? Like, what are you? I know that you're a gamer,
Yep. Huge
and
gamer.
I know that you like have over the years. I've seen all of your PC builds that you've posted.
Yeah.
Do you have anything in the works right now as far as a PC or?
I just built this one that I have here now.
Uh-huh.
I built it like I finished it last year, I think.
Uh-huh.
So I don't really have anything in the works now, but I have a few friends. It's actually crazy. So I did something. We did like a. I've been like working more at doing like kind of like branding stuff and doing like brand deals and like some other things. So I've met a few guys and like my whole like game, like I'm a huge like tech nerd. So like I
Yeah.
fucking love anything. Like, I watch like unboxings all the time. Like I'm keeping up with like what phones are coming out, what
Yeah.
PC parts are coming out. I'm keeping up with all that. So I like met some guys with like, a couple big PC manufacturers. They gave me some like passes to CES this past year. So like I was over there just like, networking with people and meeting people and like, so I have some people who are actually sending me some stuff out to build a PC, which I'm gonna do for Carnage as like a studio gift kind of thing.
Mhm.
And like, he's been like on a trash can like Mac for like a minute. So it's
The
kind of like,
trash can Mac.
yeah, yeah. So I'm like leveling him up and like building a crazy computer for him that like he can use to do stuff. But like, as far as for myself, man, like I'm really content with this one that I built. So like, as you can see, like I have like my
Yeah.
roommate stuff back here. So like he's got his thing that he's kind of put together that I helped him with, and then like I have mine. I don't think I'm gonna build one for a little bit. Like I think I'm gonna keep mine rocking. So I'll just like kind of do some stuff for the label. Like I'm working on kind of doing some brand deal stuff and like on a more like broad spectrum kind of vibe. Like I've been kind of working towards like a I guess you could say, I'm trying to think of the proper word to like kind of name this thing. I guess from like the it would be kind of like an incubator, I guess you could say, of like that's what you would call it. And like I guess like the tech like startup world or whatever of like I want to build like a all-in-one kind of facility of like studios, photo studios, kind of like gaming space and like a whole like a co-working space, like a whole kind of like thing out here. And like I've been talking with a lot of brands about it and like they've been very supportive of like wanting to send stuff out for it. So like that's kind of like a project that I've been kind of working on that I want to do
Cool.
sometime in the next like couple years of like making something tight. So that's like another thing I guess like I would be like building PCs or like getting involved in the tech side of things from of just like doing that. And like that's it, man. Like I've been like trying to get more involved with like licensing into video games and like like our music sits really well in like the gaming playlists and like workout playlists and like shit
Yeah.
like that. So like I'm trying to like get some licensing for our guys, get them placed in some video games, like
That'd be dope,
do
man.
some cool shit like that. Just like that's like esports and things like that. I feel like are the wave of the future in turn, especially now, dude. Like this shit's popping off, and like what happens if we can't leave? What happens if
Dude,
baseball,
if you could
football
get some
doesn't come back for
contracts
another
with
year?
some of the dope esports leagues, man, you
Yeah,
could
yeah,
just get heavyweight records. It's like that all your tracks are going to be in the esports league. Like,
yeah.
dude, what a comfortable place to sit.
Yeah, so that's kind of like where I'm at in terms of like goal stuff and like with technology and like everything. That's kind of like where I've been like kind of eyeing our future of like where we can kind of get along in that space. And like I think there's a lot of opportunity, and it's just about getting it and locking it in.
So, if you could pick top 5 games that you like to play.
Top 5 games. I don't really play that many anymore. Like I kind of stick to the new Call of Duty has been my thing that I've been rocking.
On PC?
Yeah. Luckily it's crossplay though, so you can play with like
Ooh,
people
nice.
from anything.
Yeah, I'm totally getting smashed all the time on Battlefield by people on
Yeah.
PC for whatever reason.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I used to be super big. My like main thing that got me into like the really the like gaming side of things, like industry shit, would be like Halo. Big Halo guy for a long time.
BXR, remember the BXR in Halo
Yeah,
2?
dude, that was my shit.
Dude.
I still have friends in New Mexico who do like Halo 1 LANs all the time. And so like they hit me up in March and they were like, yeah, March like 15th, I think, because when he had the last one, he was like, yo, fly out here. Like I have a bunch of people coming in. We're gonna have a big LAN. I was like, dude, I wish, but I have to go to Miami. Like, so then like but yeah, I mean, like I would still say in my top, like if I'm thinking just all time top games, Halo for sure. Halo 1, 2 is up there in terms of that. Call of Duty's, Modern Warfare 2. I've been playing a lot of Rust, so like I've been getting into like the weird like survival type of games, and like maybe it's just because of the time that we're in that I just want to be
Yeah,
in the whole like apocalyptic survival kind of situation. But
dude.
been doing that, and then that's really it, man. I didn't really get into like the super popular. I played World of Warcraft for like a little bit. And then I'm waiting on this new game Valorant, which is like I'm waiting on that one. That's going to be my new thing once that comes through. And then that's been about it, man. I've just been doing a lot of gaming, a lot of working on my skills, trying to do some graphic stuff, and like
Cool.
I've been having a lot of fun with that. And just like I built this crazy computer, so it's like I might as well use it for something other than just like playing video games.
Cool,
That's
man.
like where my head's been at.
Well, if you ever want some practice graphic work, man, I could use a logo.
Yeah, I got you, dude.
Yeah,
I'm not. I literally am just like taking random
dude.
things and like just making some images like
I
as they
literally
come.
need, if you ever want to practice, as some people know, I play drum and bass as my alias, comma, and
Hmm.
so for years and years, people are like, you gotta make a logo, you gotta make a page, and I'm like, I never have time.
Yeah,
So man, now we're stuck in the house. Like I've just been
yeah.
trying to do it myself, and I'm just like, dude, this shit's fucking hard. Like,
It's tough, man. I feel like like branding stuff like is the hardest part of like doing, like doing the music, getting digging, finding the music, doing all that stuff. That's the easy part, but
yeah,
establishing the brand of it is like the harder part.
it's definitely harder than a lot of people think. Yeah. Well, dude, this has been super awesome. If you ever want to just like
Yeah,
kick it on a chat, dude, and we could,
yeah, for sure.
yeah, it'd be awesome.
I'm always on. I'm always around. Let me know what's good. If you're on Zoom, I use Zoom and I use Discord. I don't know if you're on Discord, but
No, but I just upgraded my Restream account to professional.
uh-huh.
So Discord's one of the options that we could stream to.
Oh, sick.
Along with a bazillion other things. But so I gotta utilize that professional account.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Well, dude, thank you so much.
Of
I
course,
appreciate
man.
your time, and it's been super cool to like see your face. It's been a while.
Yeah, dude, it's been a while since we had talked.
Yeah, dude, I'm glad you're doing well, and I hope you're being safe. And yeah, man.
Thank you, man. I hope you
Salud,
guys are
dude.
staying safe as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully this will be out by the end of the evening. Depending on the interwebs and
Yeah, of
the
course.
reptilian overlords, how long they say it takes to get out.
It's the 5G, dude. 5G is too busy spreading the virus to really upload this
Yeah,
to the internet.
dude. I just saw a bird fly out of the sky right now. All right, man. Till next time.
Yeah, for sure. Take it easy,
Assalamu
brother.
alaikum
Good
and all
talking.
that good stuff. Yeah, man.
Later, bro.
Later, man.